Denny, who is the audience for this movie?
Everyone.
No. I'll tell you who. People on dates. Perfect date movie. Would you agree?
No.
I kind of wish I took Anne to see this and didn't see it with you, because it's a great date movie. No?
If you want to creep your date out.
Well, I thought it was... Hey, welcome to the Dan and Mitch Show. He's Dan.
And he's Mitch.
And today we're on 10 Cloverfield Lane. Ooh.
The new movie.
The new movie, yeah. Top stuff.
The pseudo Cloverfield sequel. We'll start off with our general impressions of the film.
Yeah.
Then we'll give it a score.
Alrighty.
So we can let everyone out there know whether they should see it or not. Mm-hmm. Then after that,
I like it.
We'll talk about the film in depth. So we'll go through some spoilers.
The new Cloverfield movie kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it, Danny?
Less than 2 months before it was released, there was a trailer that dropped and everyone's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I didn't even see the trailer.
There weren't even advanced screenings or anything like that for the press. It just was released.
Okay. So, I actually saw this one, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't I, Denny? Shock horror.
I'm still in shock.
Actually saw a movie.
I really liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that.
Okay,
I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, good.
I'm quite a big Cloverfield fan. The original one.
I thought you liked it so much that you bought it.
I did buy it. Yes, it was the very first Blu-ray that I purchased, Denny.
Wow. You purchased it.
I purchased it good.
If you liked it so much, how come you gave me your copy of Cloverfield?
You were supposed to bring it, Danny, so we could show it to the people.
Oh, this?
He has it. My copy of Cloverfield. I really enjoyed the first Cloverfield, and it was a very different film.
Yep.
Cloverfield, the original, if you haven't seen it, was pretty much a found footage movie, and it was all...
It was a survival film. It
was.
Tracking these young, very attractive people through this giant disaster of an alien invasion in the middle of a city.
And it was almost like it was shot in the first person. I mean, that's the case with any found footage film. Yeah. But how this was shot, it was intense. It really felt like you were right there.
Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane wasn't found
that
footage,
at all, no.
But it was very intimate.
It was.
Did you know as well, this film was originally written as a film called Cellar.
Cellar, really? Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and basically it was taken by J.J. Abrams' company Bad Robot, and they massaged it into a Cloverfield film.
Oh, that makes sense.
I absolutely loved the performances of this film.
Oh, yeah, top performances.
A film like this could otherwise have been quite bland and boring, but the performances just absolutely elevated this film.
Danny, John Goodman had no idea he was going to be in this film.
God, how fantastic was he?
How pleasantly surprised I was when he just stepped into the room with that girl.
You didn't know anyone who was in the film, did you?
Here's what I knew about the film. Zip. Nothing. Nada. Didn't see a single trailer. Yeah. I didn't see any screenshots or photos. I didn't even hear anything from Dan Meister. The only thing that I knew was the title Cloverfield.
What did you think of Mary Elizabeth Weinstein?
Oh, yeah, she's great. I don't think I've seen her in anything else.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World?
Wait, was she
yes, Ramona Flowers.
Ramona Flowers! My God. Can we get a photo of that?
Oh, yes, we can.
Terry, you got a photo?
You know this one girl with hair like this?
Yes, that's Ramona Flowers.
Ramona Flowers.
That's just a drawing of Ramona Flowers. Can we see an actual picture?
Hair like this?
Overall, though, I'd say I had a much better time watching this than I would have expected, almost.
Yeah.
And beyond that, just experiencing a film that even I didn't know anything about beyond a single trailer.
I thought it was going to be a found footage film.
Yep.
It wasn't. But, I don't think...
Not to its detriment.
No, not at all. I enjoyed it in spite of it being nothing like the original Cloverfield. Yep. But it had a lot of the same little bits that I enjoyed from... A lot of the same little elements that I enjoyed from the original movie that we'll talk about more in our spoiler review.
Would you say it was a distant cousin?
I would. That's a great way to describe it, Danny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mitchell.
Yes, Danny.
Out of 5 Dannys, what would you give this film?
Ooh, I'd probably give it a really solid 3.5 Dannys.
That's a pretty good score. That's a pretty good score. I'm going to go a little higher.
Yeah.
I'm going to go all the way up to 4.5 Dannys.
4.5 Dannys.
I was just...
Oh boy, Danny. That's a lot
emotionally invested in this film in more ways than I...
You were. I saw you were clutching those armrests very tight.
And I was jumping when I needed to jump. The movie completely had me hooked beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah. That's nice.
Mitchell,
Yes, Danny.
Now's the best part.
Ooh, spoilers.
All the spoilers.
Alert.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Alert.
Spoilers. Yeah.
We're really bad at that. We've got to try and resync up for the next episode.
Sure. So, Danny, let's get talking. Let's get down to business.
How cool were the aliens at the end?
That was pretty cool.
I felt like, in the
aliens.
best possible way,
Yeah.
it was this completely different bookend, but it was completely justified, I think, by the whole film was this ordeal for her to overcome so that she could become someone else and evolve in this changed world.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
It's a good way to describe it.
Thank you.
It kind of like halfway. No, it wasn't even halfway through. It was pretty much in the last 30 minutes. You could pretty much like
15,
It just
man.
jumped up, grew legs, and ran into a different kind of film.
Yeah.
It became a completely different film.
But I agree. I think it did become a very different film.
Yeah.
But at the core of the film, it was really this story. I mean, here's how I look at the film, and this is why I gave the film such a good review.
Yeah.
The film was about this one girl who was constantly running away. We find her in the opening scene running away from a fight with her fiance or her partner. And throughout the film, she's constantly running away and trying to get away from people. Escape. And then there's that scene in the end where she hits over the radio, anyone with medical experience or combat experience, please, we need your help. Please, we need your help. And for the first time in her life, she doesn't run away from the danger. She turns into the danger, thinking she's a different person. So, to an extent, the end half of the film, or the end part of the film, was really just an extension of that concept of her no longer running away. So there's this great and very strong emotional arc throughout the whole film.
Yeah. That's interesting.
What did you like about the film?
Well, I always love a good monster mash, Danny, to say the least. But I'm a very big fan of little human stories, little humanized stories told well. Yeah. And I did get a lot of the great thing about Cloverfield was that they were able to say a lot without showing much. And I think any good film that can pull that off is worth seeing. 28 Days Later, I kind of felt was kind of scratched that
humanity kind of
I was a huge fan of that film. I saw it like twice at the cinema when that came out. Yeah, I love it.
Danny Boyle.
There's a scene in 28 Days Later where they're in a convenience store and the man or the I can't even remember at this point, but someone is talking to the other one about what happened, and they're talking about like the bodies that they were in the city, and then suddenly they heard screams in the background. They didn't know what it was, and then suddenly someone fell over, and then more people fell over, and then eventually they were just stepping on bodies, and it felt like a carpet of people.
Wow.
And it was just a really interesting little dialogue that painted the scene in my brain straight away without having to show anything. And I think that's like probably one of the greatest scenes of that movie. It was chilling. Yeah. And 10 Cloverfield Lane kind of captured that
it really
horror,
didn't it? It really did, yeah.
Just by
You know what I like most about Cloverfield? Is I feel like the scariest elements of Cloverfield was John Goodman. It wasn't even the aliens. The aliens were terrifying.
I disagree.
Sure,
I was never afraid of good old John Goodman. Well, he's just so good.
Man. The only thing I wasn't really a fan of in the film was it was very slow paced. For a reason, sure. But I do like a bit more pace or a bit more energy in my films. So that's really the only thing that I didn't like so much.
A bit slow at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, not even in the beginning, more just that middle section. It just kind of... I mean, I wouldn't change it necessarily, but it just didn't feel like as much was happening and kind of just after the beginning.
I like the middle section. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the exposition was very slow burned out of the characters.
Okay.
Whereas it could have... I think there could have been moments of something a bit snappier or... a little bit more of a beat in some of the conversations. Was there anything specifically that you didn't like?
Okay, well, what I didn't like about this film isn't really the film's fault. Let's put that out there. And it's more about a personal preference that's just kind of weird. But I kind of felt the movie looked too pretty. I'm going to put that out there. Because going back to 28 Days Later, that was such a grungy, dirty, ugly film, and I was terrified throughout it. And this one, I felt similar feelings that I had from 28 Days Later. And I know they're completely different films, but they do have at its heart that kind of will to survive despite
strong emotional
yeah.
connections between the films. The emotional core is pretty similar.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
But 10 Cloverfield Lane, I don't know, the lens was just so upbeat and friendly. But I think maybe a little grain could have gone a long way.
I like the polish of the film. To me, that was really unnerving.
It did make being in the shelter quite lovely, didn't it, Danny? It was very warm.
It looked the opposite to how it felt.
Yeah.
So it looked fake, and I liked that. I liked that we were kind of... It looked open, and it looked warm, and it looked comfortable to be in.
It did.
Which contradicted the tension and the undercurrent of, I guess, uncomfortability throughout the film.
That's not a word.
Uncomfortability.
Discomfort, Denny.
No, uncomfortability.
So, wrapping up, Denny. Oh wait, we've already given it a score, ladies and gentlemen. And
so thank you for joining in our discussion. Let us know if you liked the end, if it came as a shock, if you saw it coming,
Love to know.
And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Because if you don't subscribe, you may never see us again. So you might as well. I mean, it's right there. Just click it.
They would. They'll definitely subscribe.
They won't.
They like us.
Don't tell them to subscribe.
Oh, really?
Bastards. Thank you, everyone. Mitch out.
See you next time.
But I suggest you see Take Shelter, Denny, and for you at home. Also, if you enjoy bunker movies, there's also Blast from the Past. There's also that one with Ellie Kemper. What's it called, Denny? The
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yes, Kimmy Schmidt.
It's more of a series than a movie.
Yes.
But it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Or play Fallout. It's great.
It's all about shelters.
Yeah. Vault Tech. All good.
This episode was brought to you by Shelter.
Vault Tech.